Hi everyone, I'm back. Just want to say a big thank you to Basti and Kat for covering the last couple of weeks. I had a terrible flu. I was completely in bed and resting and everything. So thank you, Basti, for looking after the Wednesday class for us the last couple of weeks.
Absolutely fine. No, it's been great fun to do it, and I'm glad
I'm
you're
sure
feeling
it
better.
has, yeah, I'm sure. And all the webinars that Basti's done have all had great reviews. So I haven't even posted in the chat there. I'm going to put a hi there for me straight away. There we go. So yeah, if you just want to say hi in the chat, it's going to be a special edition this week because we've just noticed that coming out, I suppose, towards getting, COVID's been going on for so long now. We're getting certain stress patterns coming in. We're getting quite a lot of clients coming back who haven't been for maybe a year or a year and a half. Some of them haven't been back since before COVID. And we're seeing a bit of a pattern that we'd like to work on with you. So yeah, we're going to go through that. And I've got 3 new polls for you, which I'm going to run now. There we are, great. I'm just going to run 3 polls. One of the things I wanted to find out really is I'd like you to reflect back and just think like, do you feel like more stressed or less stressed than you did before COVID? So I'm going to ask you, are you more stressed, more or less stressed now than before the pandemic? About the same, less stressed or much less stressed or much more stressed? So just have a look at this poll. Let's just check in with everyone and see, just think, how are you doing? Because I know some people have actually turned their lives around and they've, rejigged everything and look at this, we're getting a really interesting division here as the votes are coming in. We're getting a majority of you are feeling more stressed than you were before. And I guess it's a self-selecting group because if you come to the Wednesday class, you probably want to have some help with that. So it kind of makes sense. But then we've got like 20% of you more or less who are actually much less stressed or less stressed. So somehow you've rejigged your life. So maybe you can give us some hints there in the chat, share how you managed to do that. And we've got 12% who are much more stressed. So overall, we've got 73, nearly 3/4 of the group are either much more stressed or less stressed. Okay, now we're seeing certain patterns coming in now. I wanted to ask you a question like, I'm going to run the poll. Since the start of COVID, just read the list carefully. Since the start of COVID, have you had any of these, any urinary issues, lower back pain, or feelings of extreme fatigue? Okay, and you can either vote for urinary issues, lower back pain, extreme fatigue, or a combination of 2 or more of the above. So let's just see whether we've, okay, look at that. Yeah, you see we've got quite a lot of people who've got a combination of all those things, and that's a pattern, what I'd like to do today is we're going to do a similar routine that we normally do, but I'm going to focus it in on urinary issues, lower back pain, and extreme fatigue as well as stress. I've got one more one more poll. Just the type of illnesses that you might have felt. Okay, so I'm going to run this poll now. If you felt out of balance, I'm just going to read it out for you. If you've been ill or out of balance since the start of COVID, how do you feel? Do you feel mainly heavy, blocked, weak, feel pains moving about, or a combination of more than one of those? And we're going to, again, this session, we're going to explain to you how different types of kind of imbalances occur and what we can do about them to balance our energy, okay? Now, look, this is really, really interesting because we've got a majority of you feeling heavy, and that indicates damp. So that's the most common single thing is damp. We've got quite a lot of combinations, quite a lot of people feel blocked or weak, and relatively few with pains moving around the body. Okay, so what we're going to do today is we're going to work on lower back pain, fatigue, and urinary issues. We're also going to look at different ways we can shift different types of blockages and patterns. So let's go. So we're going to start off with the scans, as we always do. I'm going to watch out for any feelings of blockages or heaviness in our body, and we're going to monitor those and see if we can do some changes. Okay, so let's go. So here we are. I've got my paper. I'm going to do my whole body scan. So if you'd like to do it with me, I'm just going to stand comfortably. I'm going to take a moment just to scan through our body. And what I'd like you to do is just see if there's any blockages, any feelings of heaviness, any feelings of weakness, and we can draw them up on the page, on our body scan page. Okay, and we've got some way of figuring out what we're going to do today. So we're going to scan down from the top of our head. Just take a moment here just to relax and go through our head, checking out our jaw, our throat, our upper back, down our shoulders and our arms, through the chest area, down through the diaphragm, very important area that often gets stuck, and then down through the abdomen, into the hips, down into our knees and ankles and feet. Okay, there we go, right? So let's just take a moment and just kind of get a snapshot of that. Any areas where you feel obstruction, heaviness, or weakness. And we're just going to take a moment to just draw that. Let's just take a second. And this gives us our whole body scan, which we can then work on as we go through the exercises. Okay. Okay, very good. Bit of a surprise this week. I've had a few weeks off. Things have been changing. Okay, so now we're going to go for the 3 burners scan. And this is really important when it comes to especially tiredness, because we can talk about tiredness and obstruction as we go through the exercises. So let's do that 3 heater scan. Okay, now if you've had urinary problems, you really want to be able to tune into this area here. And what often you will find is you'll get like either coldness, heat, or a feeling of heaviness here. And we're going to do some work to deal with all of that, especially the heaviness in the lower burner. The lower burner should feel kind of open, light, and strong, and it definitely shouldn't feel heavy and blocked. So let's just tune into our lower burner first of all. Just get a feeling of that sensation all the way through the bladder, all the way through into the sacrum. Okay, you got that? Let's see what it feels like. And then we go up to the middle burner, that's this bit here, from the diaphragm down to the navel and right down into the lower thoracic. Okay, now this area is really important because it transforms the damp. This has got to be released because it needs to transform the damp from the food. And quite often that heavy feeling will go right up into here and you'll get this whole blocked feeling here. And this can cause tiredness, fatigue and stress. So this area wants to be nice and open and relaxed. So tune into our middle burner, everyone, and just see how open and relaxed that middle burner is. Okay, I'm going to compare that with the feeling of the lower burner. Got it? And then finally, the upper burner, we're going to just deal with that a little bit this week. The upper burner obviously holds a lot of emotional stress, so we're going to get a lot of blockages through here if we get long-term fatigue and illness, because it's going to affect us emotionally. So let's just tune into the upper burner. And again, that should be ideally should be open and relaxed. Okay, now check the 3 and decide which one you'd like to work on. And we're going to do a quick sketch to check in. I think my 2-week breaks definitely help me out. I'm definitely a little more open in the middle burner than I am normally. So there's always something good for having a break, isn't there? Even though it wasn't much fun at the time. Okay. All right, good. So now we just need to do the which burner do you want to work on poll. Let's see if I can find that. I've got so many polls now on this. Here we go. Which burner would you like to work on most today? And we'll focus on that for you as we go through the exercises. Let's just see what's happening here. Whoa, okay, look at this. We're definitely in tune this week with the with the fatigue, damp, and urinary issues, because we've got a majority. The lower burner is just edging ahead here, 41%. And then we've got the middle burner. Remember, that's important for transforming damp, and also the upper burner comes in at 25%. Excellent. Okay, everyone, let's go. So it's time to start the exercises. I'm going to do a lot of the exercises we've done before, but I'd like to just focus in on them and explain how they connect with fatigue and with urinary issues and with just general stress. So we're going to start off, as we always do, by energizing the lower burner. But before then, let's just shake out any tension in the body. We want to try and get rid of some obstruction first. Typically what happens if you get long-term fatigue or stress, you're going to build up stress in the upper body, probably through here. So let's just do some shaking to start with, just to loosen everything up, and then we'll get into the important bit of tonifying the lower back and energizing and strengthening the urinary system. Okay, so let's go. You're going to stand feet shoulder width apart, and we're just going to check in with ourselves. Let's just see how we're feeling. How are we feeling connected to the earth? How does your head feel balanced on top of your spine? And then we're going to do some shaking. Let's just get rid of some of any tension that's holding us back in the upper body. And let's start off with the jaw. We're just going to relax the jaw, shaking, getting the head floating up, relaxing the jaw like that. You can make some funny sounds as long as you haven't got any neighbours listening in. We're going to relax the jaw. And what I'm doing is I'm just allowing my imaginary string to kind of bounce me up and down. It's allowing me to let go of my jaw, let go of the throat, let go of my cervical spine. Let go of the upper back and the shoulders. Very good. Okay, let's keep going. And we're going to let that shaking go all the way down from the shoulders, down into the elbows, down into the wrists and the hands. Relaxing the chest. Okay, now this is a really important bit. When we get down to the diaphragm, we want to jiggle that diaphragm and try and release it as much as we can with shaking. And the reason is we want that digestive system to be working well to transform the damp from food, because what can happen is if we're eating too much damp food, we get weak, the damp isn't transformed, and then it goes into the lower burner, and that can cause urinary problems like cystitis and things like that, and urinary infections. It's damp and heat and kind of stuff like that in the lower burner. So we've got to get this area nice and shaken out, because we need to start releasing it so that later on in the exercises we can really get into some swinging and maybe some ampuku to release it. So let's just start by shaking it out. Very good. Okay, if you're really tense and really stiff, you can do it a bit stronger. Get the whole upper body moving. Very good. Okay, so now we're going to go down into the lower burner. We're just going to shake the hips, get the hips released. Okay, and then we're going to go down through the knees and the feet. Very good. Now we've gone all the way through the body. Let's get the whole body shaking. I'm just going to jump up and down a bit here. Okay, very good. And if you want a little bit of an extra boost to that, what we can do is we can lean forwards, just relax and shake out any tension from the upper body out through our hands. And we can even go from right from here around the thoracic and even from the diaphragm. We can shake it down, go. Okay, feel better? Absolutely, yeah, what a great way to wake up. Okay, so that's releasing a little bit of tension. So if you've got blockages anywhere in the upper body, really good to start doing that right now. So now we get down to the serious business. Okay, now what happens with long-term stress and fatigue is it will affect the lower burner, and this typically causes weakness in the lower back. It weakens the urinary system and makes us prone to urinary infections and fatigue and kind of lower back pain. So we've got to do something about that. That's a really good preventative thing to get that lower burner really, really strong so we can build up the energy there. Okay, and I've got a few extra little stretches for you today that's going to help that once we've done the internal work. Okay, step one is we have to get that breathing down into the lower dantian. And if you remember, that's just below the navel, really important part. In fact, we're going to go a little bit lower today. We're going to go right down and cover this area between the navel and the top of the pubic bone, because there's lots of important points here that relate to the lower burner and the urinary system. So I'm going to shift my head down a little bit lower there, and cover the whole of the lower part of the lower burner there. Okay, and let's get that breathing right down into this whole area. I'm going to relax our shoulders, feet firmly on the floor, head floating up, and we're going to breathe in and we're going to imagine that energy from the breath going into the lower burner. And we're going to imagine it filling up underneath our hands, but more importantly, right the way through into the lower back. We're just doing that with the imagination now. We're going to hold the breath, okay, and we're going to breathe out. Okay, let's do 3 of those. So we're breathing in. Okay, and breathing out. Breathing in. And breathing out. Now keep that energy contained there, sink it down, fill up the lower part of the abdomen. Okay, right now we're going to energize that area by doing very light circles. We're going to keep the breathing into that area, and I want you to imagine that the heat is coming out of your hands and it's going really deep into this area and energizing the whole of the lower burner. Rub our hands together to get really, really energized. Shaking out our arms again. Okay, keep that egg under our armpit, and we're going to place 2 hands there, just slightly lower than the lower dantian here. Just going to go. This is the lower dantian here, so we're going to center on there, just go a little bit lower, so we're encompassing that whole area here. Okay, because what that will do is it'll get the Ming Men, but also directly activate and energize the bladder area itself. Okay, so let's do that. A little bit of a change. So we're going to go like this. Okay, we keep those arms and shoulders really relaxed. Send that Qi or that Qi down our arms and give ourselves a nice, relaxing, energizing feeling in the lower burner. Keep the hips relaxed and the knees relaxed and open. We're going to open up kidney 1 on the foot, more of that later, connecting to the earth. Keep that breathing nice and deep. Very good. Can you feel that? Starting to go through and into the back. We're going to relax the sacrum, relax our lower back, and imagine a connection from here all the way into the sacrum. And the reason for that is some very important points on the sacrum that are used to treat the bladder in Chinese medicine and acupuncture. So we want to energize that space all the way through there. Keep those arms relaxed. Send that energy through. Okay, so what should start to happen is you get this nice, comforting, energized and strong feeling starting to build up in the lower burner. Nice and simple, but very powerful. Now, just keep it going. Very good. Okay, now if you've got the flexibility in your shoulders, a really important thing that happens with long-term fatigue and adrenal stress is that the back starts to get weak and it starts to get brittle. And the classic symptom is this kind of feeling of stiffness and pain in the lower back. Most important point, if you remember, is bladder 23. That's right in the middle of the waist there. That point there is what is the central point that's used for treating that. So once we've energized this, what we ideally need to do is to get bladder 23 and this whole area here energized. So the way I'm doing that is by relaxing my shoulders and using the backs of my hands. If you've got the flexibility in your shoulders to do this, if you can't, if it's too difficult for you, just keep doing this and think that energy through. If you can only do it with one arm, you can do this. You can do one hand here and one hand back there. This is another variation, or you can place the hand like that and connect through. The idea is to get this whole area as strong as we can. Okay, so let's just do this for a bit more. And now what we're going to do is we're going to shift down onto the actual sacrum. So we're here on the lower lumbar, we're here in the mid lumbar and the lumbar area here. This area is very important for the bladder. So we're going to go down and we're going to energize these points here. The sacrum is this triangular bone here, and we're going to energize these points using the same technique. Very good. Okay, now if you really relax, you'll feel a connection through from those sacrum points into the actual bladder and the lower part of the dantian, okay, because it's directly connected to it through those nerves and everything there. So we're just going to keep working on that. Very good. Okay, now we're going to turbocharge it by opening up kidney 1 on the foot. We're going to imagine that opening up, relaxing and opening the ankles and knees, relaxing the hips and the sacrum, and just feel that energy connection down the legs. We're going to do a bit more on that in a minute. Okay, excellent stuff. Okay, well done. Now let's just relax a bit and let's check in again now by tuning into this lower burner. And I think you'll find that you've got this feeling of warmth, relaxation, a kind of nice, more substantial feeling in the lower burner. And that, everyone, is what we have to do. And I would recommend you do that. Like if you're starting to get that adrenal fatigue, you want to be doing that for maybe 5-10 minutes every single day until you get that really comfortable, energized feeling here, because that's the bedrock of it. So let's give it a bit of a boost by using the kidney and bladder channels. And that means you've guessed it. I've been waiting for this for 2 weeks. Kidney 1, we've got to get kidney 1 activated. Okay, you can feel this point. We've got kidney 1 and kidney 3 on the foot, if you remember. So let's go. So let's start off by doing some doing on kidney 1. Here it is, right in here, 1/3 of the distance between the top and the bottom of the foot here, the heel and the foot. Right in here. And I like to energize it by giving it some doing, which is Japanese self-shiatsu percussion technique. Really good way of energizing it. And the idea behind this is what we'll do is we'll find out that there's a very strong connection between kidney 1 and really the whole body, but particularly the lower back. So I'm just going to tap here. Okay, also very useful because it's the most yin tonifying point of the body. So if you get any heat, like inflammation anywhere, kidney 1 is the go-to point for that. So it's really important point. Okay, now if you remember kidney 3, just behind the ankle, between the ankle and the Achilles tendon, and that point there, that's a really important point for the urinary system in general, and the lower back particularly. So I'm going to put my thumb right on kidney 3, like that, while I'm doing kidney 1, just to give it a special extra boost. So I've got my thumb on kidney 3, imagining the channel opening up, and I'm tapping away on kidney 1, sending the chi up here, up the whole leg. Great technique. Just gently press that kidney 3 point. And what we'll do in a minute is we'll do some doing and get that whole channel singing. So we get that super power going up there into the lower back and the bladder and everything. Okay, so here we go. Kidney 1 again. Excellent stuff. I'm going to stretch open kidney 1. Excellent. Okay, I'm going to hold kidney 3 again, my thumb. Okay, that's it right here. And I'm going to press in, gently in, opening up the kidney channel and trying to feel a connection here between kidney 1 going up through the channel and up into the lower back. Okay, so here we go. Very good. I'd like to tap it on the floor just to finish off with. Okay, so here we go, socks back on. And we've got that magic moment coming up of feeling kidney 1 connecting with the earth. It's always one of my favorite feelings of the exercise class. So let's just get into that. So we're going to just stand. Okay, and now just check this, okay? Check into this feeling in the lower burner that we've really energized. And now if you feel your feet, you'll feel a direct connection and we'll probably feeling a tingling coming up from your feet, from your ankles, up through your legs and into the lower dantian. And that is super good because that means we're starting to energize the kidney channel. So let's give it a little bit of a hand, let's give it a bit of a boost by doing some doing up the kidney channel. And where that is, it goes from kidney 3 behind the ankle, it goes up the inside of the legs up to kidney 10, and then we're going to go up here into the lower burner, and we're going to go round, and we're going to go onto the sacrum, okay, like just where we did before, the sacrum, and then we're going to go down the backs of the legs, and there's some terrific points along the backs of the legs that link with the lower back and with the bladder. So we want to make sure we do a really good job with that. Down we go. And then we're going to go up again, kidney 3. Okay, and then down. Okay, bladder. And then up again. I just know this, you just know it's going to be good, don't you? You know it's going to be a good feeling. And then we go down. Going down the backs of the legs like this. We can do it like this with the backs. I find when you get to the calves, it's easier to do the backs of the hands like this. See, like this, backs of the hands. And then down onto the feet. Okay, brushing off, shaking the legs out. Checking in again, okay, how does that feel? Pretty awesome, doesn't it? Can you feel that connection right down into the earth from kidney 1? A lovely, warm, tonifying feeling up here, and a really strong, comfortable feeling in the lower back. And that's what we need to counter that long-term fatigue. Okay, so now we go up to the middle burner, and the middle burner is really, really important because this is where the damp doesn't get transformed. It kind of gets clogged up. The damp sits there, it goes down to the lower burner, you've got cystitis, you've got urinary problems, you may have obstructions here, you may have burping, you know, just any digestive discomfort here. It can come out in different ways. But what we've got to do is we've got to free up this area and get it really open and working really well. So let's start, let's rub our hands together, let's do some Ampuka therapy. This is a really good thing to do, which is like working on your actual abdomen, and we're going to just like literally like work around here. I'm just gently pressing in, keeping my hands relaxed, and just notice if there's any tension around the area. Just working around here. This is of course where the diaphragm is as well. It's a favorite place for tension to occur. I'm just going to gently press around. Okay, and now we're going to energize the digestive system by starting off rubbing right in the center of the body. This is the right in the center. This is the spleen diagnostic area in Chinese medicine. It's the earth element, which is what we're doing right now. And we're going to place one hand over the other. And we're going to rotate round, nice and relaxed. And as we do it, what we're going to do is relax this area here with our mind. Okay, so we're relaxing this area. And what we're doing is we're warming this area up so that it can transform any damp from food. And typical foods that cause damp are sugars, by the way. Any kind of sweet, sugary foods create damp. Dairy products. It's not that you shouldn't eat any of those things, but just want to ease up on the dairy products and the sugar if you're getting like any sort of damp issues from anywhere in the body. That's any feeling of heaviness in the body. Okay. So we're going to go round now. We're going to go around the entire abdomen. And as we get to the top here, we're going to do a special bit of rubbing around here just to keep everything as flowing as we can. Then we go back into the middle. What we're doing here, this exercise is actually increasing the spleen yang, if you're interested in Chinese medicine, and it's the spleen yang that transforms the damp. So it's really important. And this is a general digestive thing. And then we come back here, spleen, okay. Now what might happen to you is if you get a lot of damp in your body, you're going to get clogged all along the stomach channel, and it's going to be kind of heavy and kind of horrible, icky feeling. That is not nice. We don't like that. And Doing's the best way to sort that out, because we want to get that kind of stagnated, dampy, horrible, cloggy stuff moving. So let's go from here, okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to go straight into Doing, tapping down the front of the legs. We're going to go down the outside of the legs, front, outside of the legs. Hey, remember this from last week, everyone? Stomach 36. I can't believe Basti got stomach 36. What a time not to be here, one of my favourite points. So I hope you had fun with that last week. We go down. Okay, now here, listen up. This is really important because the spleen channel is this channel that that totally regulates the damp. And what you'll find is you'll get a lot of sensitivity here. Spleen 9, at this point, we've done this before, right here, if you remember that, just behind the knee, you run your hand up the shin and it's just in there. That's a classic point for getting really sore if you've got damp issues anywhere in the lower burner. So as you tap up here, just make sure you give this a really good tap. You want this all to be open. You don't want any heavy, horrible, sticky stuff down your stomach and spleen channel. Believe me, you really don't want that. Okay, down you go. Stomach 36, a great one. That's a good one for tonifying the digestive system in general. And then go down. Up. Okay, and if you're really having a lot of problems here, I would just repeat this for maybe 5-10 minutes until you feel this really light here, because this should be all nice and light and relaxed. Okay, so let's just brush that off, shake out a bit, and now let's check in with the middle burner now. Let's see how it feels. Should get a nice tingling feeling, a feeling more of lightness down the front of the body. That's good. But what we haven't done is we haven't done some release for the liver. Now, what will happen with long-term fatigue, if you get some emotional build-up, is you get this kind of stagnation around the middle burner, around the diaphragm. And this is where the twisting comes in. Twisting and working the liver and gallbladder channels. So let's suspend our head from the top. And let's focus in on this area here. Keep the hips facing forwards. So the twist goes into the diaphragm and the upper waist. You see? And then you can look from the sides. Oh, burping is quite a usual side effect, by the way, for releasing the liver chi, by the way. I just proved that. So we're going to twist. And again, if you've got a real issue with this, you could do this for 5 or 10 minutes until you feel it really freeing up. Okay, now we can give that a bit of a turbocharge by using channels. So let's try that. We've got this stiffness here, maybe in the diaphragm. We can use the gallbladder and liver channels. These run down the sides of the legs. And they go up the inside. Okay, down the outside. Okay, now those channels run directly in. Don't forget to row 30 right here. Those channels run directly into the diaphragm and this part of the middle burner. So hopefully now, we shake that out and we feel here, this should feel, whoa, yes it does. It feels quite a lot more released and the swinging should be just a little bit easier. Okay, so just to recap, long-term stress, lower back weakness and pain, urinary problems, fatigue. Okay, what do we have to do? We have to release any residual tension and we have to get that lower burner as charged up as we can. We can use these techniques. Basically, it's a combination of internal breathing, Qi Gong style stimulation of the points, and then the channels. Okay, and all of those three things together, it's fantastic. Middle burner, we've got to get that open because otherwise the damp is just going to get there and clog up all the channels, especially the stomach and spleen. It's going to clog up and then the damp's going to go and we're going to have lower burner damp, which we don't want. Okay, so this has got to be open and freed up. So we can do direct work. We can do, again, Qi Gong style tonification, and we can use the channels. And we can do as much of that as we need to till it feels right, until it feels really nice and open. Okay, which brings us to part 3, which is what can happen up here, which is what happens with long-term emotional stress. We can get congestion, especially in the heart protector area. So we better spend a bit of time getting that freed up so that we feel happy, not just strong, free, but also feel a little bit more happy and a little bit more connected to everyone around us. So let's just do a quick check to see how we're feeling in the upper burner, and probably the best diagnostic stretch that I like to do is the heart protector stretch. So what we do is we bring our hands like this, we breathe in, we breathe out, okay, and we tune into the upper burner and we see how constricted this is, because typically what happens is the heart protector and the heart channel start to block up It's got to make us feel like this. And it gives us a feeling of constriction here in the upper burner. All right. So now what we can do is we can use some nice Doing techniques and some Qi Gong techniques to open up the upper burner. So let's just tonify the lungs before we do anything else. We're going to bring the arms up. This is a medical Qi Gong exercise for the lungs. Again, if you've got any asthma issues or any breathing issues, it's a good idea to do this exercise now. And I'll show you how to do it. It's not just focused on the lungs, it's focused on connecting to the lower burner. So as we do this exercise, what we're doing is we are actually connecting with the lower burner. I want you to open up kidney 1. Imagine your kidney 1 down there. Open up that kidney channel that we tapped right down into the lower burner. Got it? So now our attention is here, all the way down into the feet. Got it? Okay, now just keep that attention there. Okay, and now what we do is we imagine that this energy here is helping draw the breath down as we breathe in. Okay, so it's now a similar thing to we did with this lower abdominal breathing, but this time we're sending the energy down and we're letting it get kind of anchored down by the lower burner and all the way down into kidney 1. Okay. If you're interested in Chinese medicine, the kidney energy that's here, the kidney energy here is supposed to grasp the Qi from the lungs. That's what they say, it grasps the Qi. So we bring the Qi in, and the kidneys, because they're strong, we've done all that work, go whoosh, and they grasp it down. What a great image, isn't it? Okay. And it takes the focus away from the upper burner and allows the breathing to go deeper and deeper into the body, which is really, really useful. Now I'm putting my thumbs out, you notice, because that opens up the lung channel in the arms. Okay. Now it's interesting, in Chinese medicine there's 3 different main categorizations of asthma. One of them to do with weak lungs. The second one is to do with damp. So if you get a lot of cloggy feelings in your lungs and you get a lot of mucus and stuff like that, then that could be, again, damp that's gone up into the upper burner. It gets everywhere, doesn't it, damp? We don't like it. And the other thing that can happen, the other third differentiation is the kidney Qi not grasping the lungs from the air. So you think, oh, I've got a problem with breathing, but actually it's weakness down here not grasping the lungs from the air Qi from the lungs. So it's, Chinese medicine is very sophisticated in differentiating breathing problems. And it's often a holistic thing, it's not just the lungs themselves, okay? So, but this exercise is really good because it opens up the lungs. Okay, we've already done the damp thing with the middle burner. And what it does is it basically gives us an internal feeling of the kidney energy grasping the lung Qi. Okay? And just to remind you, we open up kidney 1, connect the lower burner. Okay, and now imagine that lovely, warm, solid feeling in our lower burner is grasping the Qi down from the breath. And that allows you to just relax the lungs and not worry about your breath. Your breath will naturally come in, okay, and settle down low in the body. What a great feeling. Okay, excellent. So that's really important. Now we can get on to working on the heart and heart protector meridians, just to get any residual tension here unblocked. And we're going to do that with some Doing techniques. I love this technique. We're going to tap here. And I think I mentioned, certainly in the last 6 months to a year, we've had so many clients come into the centre who literally have this whole area completely blocked because of all the emotional stress. And it literally is like a piece of wood through here. And we can definitely work on that by just tapping here. This is just the local work on the heart protector channel on the chest. It's all around here. What I like to do is I like to get my knuckles so they go between the ribs. I do this when I'm working on clients as well. I'll actually go in like this and connect in. So you can do it ourselves by tapping. Okay. And then once we free that up, then we can go down the arms and we're aiming for this middle finger here. Okay, this is where the heart protector meridian runs. So we're tapping down inside of the arm, down into the finger, and then we're going to go back up and go onto the shoulders and then round again. Okay, we'll just do that 3 times. Okay, one more. Okay, and brushing off. Okay, shaking out. Okay, very good. Now do the other side. So we're tapping down, down. The middle finger, and then back up. Here's some excellent points that we've done before down here. Remember those points? We've got heart protector 6, we've got heart protector 8, palliative anxiety. You can all do with a bit of tapping there. And then brushing off. Okay, awesome. Okay, so let's just check in with our 3 burners. We're going to stand. And let's just check in with that lower burner. What a lovely feeling that is. Okay, can you feel that feeling? Kidney 1 all the way up into there and right into the lower back. Really nice. Nice and open in the middle burner. And now we've got the nice lung and heart protector release here in the upper burner, which just leaves us to clear those yang channels in the head, and we will be done for this week. Okay, because one of the things that we do here, all these internal burners are mainly internal. We do, and the yang channels, we do some shaking, but we really need to clear those just to finish off. So here we go. Let's do a little face routine. I'm going to just press around the forehead. Okay, now we're talking about damp again. So what can happen is if you get damp in there, more in the upper burner, upper part of your body, you're going to get things like nasal congestion, sinus congestion. And again, one of the ways we can clear that is by using some of these local points. These points here are used for the upper sinuses. And if you remember from a few weeks back, we did stomach 1, 2, and 3. And if we work along here, we're just pressing in to the sinuses all around here. We go back, we get into the ear. We've got this point here, which we'll be doing soon because we'll be getting onto the metal element soon in the autumn. Okay, well, we'll just fit it in today because it's really good for clearing the nose. We're going to go down underneath the cheekbones to the jaw. And if you remember, there's several points here around the ear just before the tragus here. There's 3 points actually that are really good for releasing the jaw. And then round the lower jaw. Okay, so if you get a lot of nasal congestion and sinus congestion, things like that, it just means the damp tends to collect rather than in the urinary system, it's collecting in the upper part of your body. You might have wheezy chest, things like that. So the lung exercises, the whole sequence that we did today is just as useful for you. Because we need to energize the lower burner, we need to unblock the middle burner to transform the damp, again watching our diet, and then clearing the damp from the channels. And we do that on the head by doing these local points. And then we can work with the neck. Here we go. I'm working the stomach channel here actually, so it connects up. I forgot point of the week. Okay, I just suddenly remembered point of the week. Oh my goodness. Right, I would fit that in a moment before we go. Don't worry. Okay. I just remember because we were on the stomach channel. We did stomach 36 last week. Basti kindly covered that. So it's going to be another stomach point. You can't wait, right? Here we go. So just let's make sure we work on the lower, on the back. So on the back of the neck here, so we're going to just use the heels of the hand to squeeze down. Squeezing down. You can even tap if you've got some tension here in the neck. Okay, just a reminder that this channel here, the bladder channel, connects down into the bladder itself. And we've got bladder 10 here, which connects all the way down through into the lower back and the sacrum. So it's a nice way to finish off is to just go right into here and just tonify right in there. You can feel a connection all the way down the back. If you get it right, the angle is directly in. Okay, before we finish off with the last exercises, we better do point of the week. Okay, so here we go. We're going to do stomach 44. I'll show you where it is. I tell you a story about this. The very famous and lovely Carola Beresford Cook actually taught me this point, and she, even though it's not a classical indication, she actually said it's very good for hangovers. Now, why Carola would know that it was good for hangovers, I have no idea at all, because she's such a holistic person. But it's always useful to know points like that. Okay, it's called inner courtyard, and it clears heat from the stomach channel. So that's what can happen if you get heat in the head. That can happen with a hangover, but it can also happen if you get just heat generally in the body. Because it's at the other end of the channel, it's also used for toothache and for headaches. And you can see that kind of links up with the sinus work we're doing. It's also used for abdominal pain, and it's also used locally for swelling or pain in the foot. So actually, I've just thought of a really good poll I'd like to ask you. Where did you feel stomach 44? Okay, and the three options are going to be in the foot, in the abdomen, and in the head. Okay, so I'll save that and I'll run that poll in a minute. Because what we're going to do is we're going to do an energy exercise. We're going to see where your stomach 44 is resonating, because it can be used. Can you check out where it is? It's right on the right on where the toes join there. I'm just going to take the slide off for you. Okay, so stomach 44. It's right between the second and third toes. So if you're in a comfortable position, I'm going to use this position here. Maybe I'll bring myself a bit nearer so you can see my foot. Okay, that's it. So where it is, it actually is, it's right here, right here. Okay, just you can actually separate these two toes together. I'll just flash up the slide one more time so you can see where it is. You see it's between the second and third metatarsal right there, just at where it separates. Okay, so you want to do an energy exercise with me? Okay, so we're going to try, this is kind of a little bit tricky because we have to try and get into a comfortable position. I don't know how I'm going to do this. Oh yeah, I can do it like this, okay? So we're going to get into any comfortable position. You might want to sit on the floor. And what we're going to do is we're going to tune into the stomach channel, and we're going to see where that your stomach 44 is resonating to this today. So, all right, I'm going to get into a comfortable position. I'm going to relax, tune into the whole stomach channel. So it goes from stomach 1 all the way down through the body, right the way down the leg. Remember where we stomach 36? And it goes right into the foot, okay? So now if you just close your eyes, find stomach 44 and relax. Got it? Okay, now I want you to gently press in with your thumb. And I want you to tune into your head, your abdomen and your foot, and just relax and see which of those three areas connects most strongly with your stomach 44. And you have to pick one. Okay, and that will indicate where you've got the most heat. It could be in your head, abdomen, or it could just be an obstruction in your foot. Okay, I know where I felt mine. I don't know where you felt yours, but let's do the other one and see what happens. So again, we're going to get into a comfortable position. Find our stomach 44. Got it? Okay. This is fun, isn't it? Okay, I'm going to relax. I'm going to tune into that stomach channel all the way from stomach 1 all the way down through our body, down through into the foot. Okay. And we are going to gently press in. Whoa, it's more clear this time. Did you feel that in your head, your abdomen, or did you feel it locally in your foot? Okay, great. So let's find out. I'm going to run the poll and see. We'll find out as a group where you've probably got. You've either got heat. You're either going to have heat in your head, heat in your abdomen, or you need some change, some structure in your foot. Look at that. Do you know what? I got head too. So that's the majority. The majority of you felt the actual connection with the head. Isn't that incredible? And that just shows you the action of stomach 44. It's a fantastic point for toothache. I'll tell you a little story. I'd only been studying Shiatsu for 2 or 3 years. I was working at Infinity Foods Cooperative, and on a Wednesday we did like kind of stock taking, and I had a fantastic job because I gave Shiatsu to the whole co-op, so I got lots of experience. One day, one of the co-op workers had terrible toothache, and she couldn't get to the dentist the next day. And so I gave her Shiatsu, and I spent probably like an hour just working on large intestine 4 and stomach 44, and just on one side where the pain was. And amazing, after about 20 minutes, the whole side of her face went completely numb, and it went cold to the touch. And it was at that moment I thought, do you know, I think there's something in this Shiatsu stuff. It was a very strong experience. And you can just feel, and I know that you can really feel the effects there of stomach 44. Okay, so great. So let's just finish up. And what we need to do now, just to finish up, is I want to do a few stretches. Basically, if you want to really stretch the stomach meridian and the bladder meridian, which are the two to do with the damp, I recommend any backward stretch like this. You want to take it really easy, so if you just like to follow through with this with me, I'm just you can get a comfortable place. We're going to remember we opened up the whole stomach channel. We're just going to put our head back. Okay, you can focus in on stomach 1 in the face. Feel it all the way through the front of the face, down the neck, through the front of the body, right down into the legs. Okay, now if you want it a bit stronger, you can also go back onto your elbows like this and stretch it. And if you've got a very clogged up, claggy, horrible stomach channel, that's ideal. Okay, now once we've worked on the lower back, we can do forward bends, but we want to be a bit careful of overstretching the lower back. So I would recommend maybe doing something like this, lying on your back, holding your one knee at a time, breathing into the lower abdomen and just stretching out the lower back like this. Very similar to what we do in Shiatsu technique for stretching out the lower back. But only do this after you've done the breathing, the doing, and the energizing. Do it after that, and you'll feel a lovely warm feeling and a lovely open feeling in the channels. Okay, excellent. So let's finish up. We've done the head, the face. All we need to do now is just tap down the back to finish up with. We go as high as we can here. Again, we're on the bladder channel. Okay, and then we're going to go down the backs of the legs, down to the feet. Okay, so brushing off down through the neck. Trying to connect here. If you've got someone who's working with you, you can always tap down each other's backs. That's always nice. If you're on your own like I am, then we just go as high as we can and tap down. Okay, one more time. Stroking and tapping. Okay. And shaking out. Okay, let's integrate it all with just some simple Tai Chi breathing. And while we're doing this, we'll just check in with the 3 burners and check into with our whole body scan. It's always a good idea to integrate everything at the end, and this is one of my favorite exercises. Opening up kidney 1, softening the hips, relaxing the knees, relaxing the hips, floating the head up, opening the armpits with the egg under the armpit, releasing all of the joints and the elbows and the hands. Very good. Okay, now we're going to open up kidney 1 and we're going to sink down and breathe in. Sink down. All together, breathe in, and we're going to breathe out. Very nice. Now let's focus on anchoring that breath down into the lower burner. So we're going to focus into the lower burner, we're going to allow the breath to come down, breathing in. Feel that breath going into the lower burner. Let's get the whole body moving as one. The spine moves first, breathing in. And you keep everything nice and relaxed and open. Breathe in. Okay, keep that breath as low as we can, and we're going to get that breath right down into kidney 1. Okay, one more, breathing in and breathing out. Okay, excellent stuff. So now let's just check in with our burners. We just do it by scanning. We're going to scan into the lower burner. How about that, everyone? I don't know about you, but this feels totally different today. The lower burner much stronger, and it's kind of glowing, really nice and warm. The middle burner's nice and tingling and open, and then the upper burner, a lot more space, and just feeling generally like a bit more like a human being. You can connect with everyone. And then we're going to scan back down through the whole field, and you just look for any connection that you can feel. Remember those connections that we've established, so you feel a connection with the head, the neck. Feel connections down the arm, down through the body, into the hips and the knees and the feet. Okay, there we are, and there we have it for another week. Okay, I can see the chat has been super busy. Basti's been very busy on the chat. I hope you really enjoyed that. And for any of you, many of you, we found out who've had long-term fatigue, and lower back issues, and also if you've got any damp anywhere in your body, urinary problems, or it could be digestive or even sinus problems, you can save this one, bookmark this one, and go back to it whenever you like. Pick out the best bits, and don't be afraid to repeat some of the exercises over and over. For maybe just pause the video and just keep doing them for maybe 5 or 10 minutes if you've got a real issue with a particular channel, until you feel you've done everything you can to unblock it. And your health is then in your hands, and I really hope you've enjoyed the session. So there we go. Basti's coming back on. Yeah, feels more human. Yeah, fantastic.
That's been a great session, Cliff.
Well, that was inspired by clients that have been coming in, Basti. I've been seeing a pattern there, and I just thought it would be really useful to have a specific class on that.
Yeah.
Many of the exercises we've done before, but just focusing them makes all the difference, and understanding the internal energetics makes all the difference, doesn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. That's one of those key things that just changes the sort of crux of what we're working with.
Exactly, yeah. So I think also, especially if you have got an actual health issue, and you can feel, and the thing that I find most exciting is if the client can feel the change in the session, and we can share something that amplifies that up and gives an ability to do the similar thing at home, then that's a really great support, isn't it? And especially as if you just doing a little bit every day, and as I said before, don't be afraid to pick out the most important parts from the session and just repeat them until you feel you've done the most for yourself. Okay, and we'll continue to do that. That's not the first time we've done that for clients, and we'll do that as our clients change and come in, and we get the vibe from you of what you need. We're going to tweak the classes. Okay, that's it. I think we've got to go. Do you realise that we're nearly onto the metal element now, Basti? We've only got another 10 weeks, and we will have done an entire 1 year of the elements. I mean, we've actually been doing the Wednesday classes for much more than a year, but we will have completed an entire 1 year cycle of the elements in just a few weeks now. It's going to be amazing. We're going to have a party, an online party for that.
We'll have to have a special Wednesday class party.
Special Wednesday morning party, yeah. I'll get some sparkling water in. Okay, have a great week and see you next Wednesday. Tell your friends. Bye.
Bye, everyone.